Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a horror film from the United States, English language, released in the year 2017, directed by Colin Minahan, and this film is called It Stains the Sands Red. So It Stains the Sands Red is about a zombie apocalypse. It's engulfed the city of a woman and her boyfriend. Now these two characters are very scummy, they're drug addicts, and they appear to be into dodgy sort of business. So they hear about a safe haven on the other side of the country that is an airfield, and this is where all the survivors are congregating. So they're going to travel across the country on a desert highway in order to try and get to this destination. But unfortunately they run into car problems, and this is the start of their nightmare, because there is a zombie that comes along that kills the man, and it forces the woman to take some contents from the car in order to make the long and perilous trip through the desert on foot. Now to her horror, she realizes that the zombie has in fact followed her. So if she stops and rests during this very hard journey, the zombie is going to catch up to her and make her its next meal. So she has to push through all the hardships physically and mentally if she is to survive this onslaught and make it to the airfield. And whether or not she can is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on It Stains the Sands Red. In a world where zombie films are very generic and they don't really have a lot of creativity, I think films like It Stains the Sands Red are an encouraging sign that directors still have what it takes to create something a little bit unique. And this movie definitely hits you on a lot of unique value, but unfortunately I thought it was a little bit too ambitious for its own good. But on the other hand, I can really appreciate it because it does try something new, and it does hit you on a much more three-dimensional shape than you would first anticipate. So on the outside, this is a horror movie, and I thought the horror aspects work fairly well, and there is a strong sense of fear in the film because the violence in the movie is used very well. It's very shocking in its violence, but it's very few and far between, and the shocking violence is used for that purpose of the consequences if this woman is caught by the zombie. So you know exactly what the zombie is capable of, so you want to see this woman stay one step ahead throughout the entire length of the film. And so the movie is just this long pursuit, and it's a pursuit where it's complicated because of the desert that this movie is set in, and so the desert plays a strong character of its own as well, and the visuals are very well done in that very vibrant colouring, and that colouring seeps through the screen and it makes the viewer dehydrated as well, so you can sense all the fear and panic and desperation that this character is going through, which is what gives you that sense of horror. And so on a horror aspect it works well, but the best part of It Stains the Sands Red is a part that I don't hear anybody else talking about, but for me, I thought that this movie was a very emotional film. It was a very personal account of a zombie apocalypse, and the fact that it was only one zombie and one woman for the majority of this film really works in its favour, because it gives you the deep symbolisation that the movie wants, and the symbolisation is self-redemption, in that whether it's drugs or just getting involved with the wrong people, how hard it is to turn your life around for the good. And initially you think that this woman is a scumbag, she's a foul-mouthed junkie, and you don't like her at all, but when she starts this perilous journey into the desert and the harsh landscapes that are engulfing her, there's brief flashbacks that indicate the person she used to be. So this is a woman that was influenced and she went down bad paths in her life, and this is something that a lot of people can connect to. And that journey of self-redemption and making things good again can be very, very difficult. So her journey through the desert was that symbolisation of how hard it is to actually get through and actually provide something that is respectable. And so I felt as though this woman had a lot of inner demons. I thought as though this woman wanted to make all the wrongs in her life right, but it was very, very difficult. And so the mental exhaustion that the movie has, I thought was a meaning for that sort of internal fight that the woman had. And then you've got the zombie. Now you can take the zombie for what it is, just a man-eating sort of fleshy creature, and something that is for a horror trope, but I also took the zombie for that sense of personal demons. That if you don't basically deal with your demons, they're always going to be behind you, and no matter how much you run away, and no matter how much you try to lose these demons, they're always going to be there. And that if you stop still and you wallow in self-pity, those demons are going to engulf you. That the world is a very cruel place, and the world will not wait for you, and it will basically eat you up if you are not strong enough to keep going. If you don't have that attitude of never give up, then it's going to engulf you. And so I thought the zombie does hit you on a lot more than just a face value. It's so much more than just a mindless sort of creature. This was a symbolization of her problems, and that she has that mentality of not giving up. She can't give up, otherwise she's just basically going to be destroyed. And so I thought it was very smart in what it does, is that because it levels itself on a personal aspect, it doesn't give you the broad sense of a zombie apocalypse, it allows it to work on a symbolic meaning as well. So that's something that I liked about it the most, and I thought it was by far the most interesting part for the first 35 minutes, is that there's a very dull, monotonous tone that does work well for it in the early stages of the film, because it gives you that sense of exhaustion, it gives you that sense of pain, and it's something that you can really connect to. But unfortunately, after the 35-minute mark, this is where the film starts to fall downhill quite rapidly, in that it felt like deja vu. I felt as though this is a 92-minute film that only had enough content for a 70-minute feature, and because it's trying to drag itself out, I felt as though I was going around in circles, and that I was waiting for something to snowball, but the snowball effect never really happens in this film. And so I thought to myself, at least if I'm putting up with this, then maybe I'll get rewarded. And that's like in life, and that's how I could relate to this character, in that the character was not giving up, so the overall reward of a bigger and better life for her was forever present. But for me, the reward of a good finish was forever present, so I wasn't giving up as well. But unfortunately, at the three-quarter stage of this film, this is where it falls downhill rapidly. It doesn't derail the experience, but it starts to get very, very silly, and this is where it starts to go down a path that you have seen before. So the whole build-up felt like it was for nothing. It felt like a practical joke, where the director was keeping you hanging around in the promise that it was going to be a rewarding payoff, but it never really comes. It just goes downhill, and it feels like a different film. And so that to me was the biggest problem, is that it does have a lot of ambition, that it doesn't rein that ambition in to make it a very satisfactory a movie, an experience with a satisfactory kind of ending. So there's no real sense of that satisfaction that the movie really needs, but it is still very interesting. So if you are a fan of the zombie subgenre, then I would say go out there and see it. But if you want something that is going to really maintain and sustain that level of interest from start to finish, then this movie might disappoint you. So overall, for It Stains the Sands red, I can appreciate the effort, but unfortunately it just doesn't quite pay off, and as a result of that, I'm going to give this film 2 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.